This content is based on facts for educational purposes. We do not intend to defame any company. Logos are omitted for copyright.
You're looking at a digital war zone. Today, we're diving into the story of Aptoide, the outlaw app store that went head-to-head with a titan. And let me tell you, the titan fought dirty.
I'm talking about getting caught secretly deleting the app right off of users' phones. It got so bad, a court actually had to step in and order them to stop.
So let's start with the takedown itself. This is the story of how Google basically weaponized its own security system against a competitor.
And here are the casualties. 2.2 million users. That's how many people Aptoide lost in just 60 days. Why? Because Google Play Protect started flagging their app as malicious, pushing notifications to uninstall it, and in some cases just ripping it off phones without permission. Now this wasn't some quick street fight, this was trench warfare. Aptoide filed its first complaint way back in 2014. It took until July of 2018 for the EU to bring the hammer down, slapping Google with a record-breaking €4.34 billion fine. And then, a few months later, came the knockout punch from a court in Portugal. The court's order was blunt. Google, stop. Stop removing Aptoide from user phones. Period. And this wasn't just a local thing. The ruling applied in 82 countries. The message was crystal clear. You cannot leverage your control over an entire operating system to just execute your competitors. So you look at that and you think, wow, a clear David versus Goliath victory, a win for the little guy. But here's the question we have to ask. What if Google had a point? Because the story you hear in a courtroom is one thing. The reality on the ground? Well, it's a whole lot dirtier.
You want to know why? Because Aptoide is a pirate's paradise. It is where you go for those free versions of paid games right before those same games steal your bank info. It is the digital version of a back alley deal.
Just think about the difference in philosophy here. On one side, you've got Google Play. It's a walled garden, right? There's a mandatory vetting process, high control. On the other side, you have Aptoide, which is a decentralized anarchist marketplace where literally anyone can set up their own store. It sounds like freedom until you see what people actually do with it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to this developer. Developers are constantly reporting that their paid apps get stolen, injected with adware or something worse, and then they're re-uploaded for free by some shady account. And the data? Well, the data backs all of this up. An Android device is 50 times more likely to be compromised than an iPhone. A huge part of that risk comes from sideloading apps from these unvetted third-party stores, places exactly like Aptoide.
So what happens when you build your house in the middle of a war zone? Well, in 2020, this high-risk environment led to a totally inevitable collapse. The entire house of cards just came tumbling down.
20 million. That's the number. 20 million user records were stolen straight from Aptoide's own database and just dumped on a popular hacking forum. The very store that was supposedly protecting you from Google couldn't even protect its own systems. And what was in that data dump? Oh, just everything. Email addresses, real names, IP addresses, browser details, and passwords. It was basically a complete identity theft kit for 20 million people.
So how are those passwords stored? As unsalted SHA-1 hashes. Now, for anyone who doesn't speak crypto, let me translate. That is the digital equivalent of using a screen door for a bank vault. It's a dangerously insecure, completely obsolete method. It's gross negligence.
You'd think a breach like that, combined with the whole malware problem, would be a death sentence, right? But you would be wrong. You think they're dead? Think again. Just look at this comeback story. April 2020. They have a catastrophic data breach. But instead of folding, they survived. Then, in 2024, the EU's Digital Markets Act forces Apple's hand. And by February 2025, Aptoide launches an alternative game store on the iPhone. The outlaw is back, and this time, they are coming for Apple. And here's their pitch. They're offering developers a much better revenue split than Apple. We're talking up to 90%. But the real killer feature is this thing called App Versions. It lets you install older versions of games. So if your phone can't handle the latest update, you just revert. Developer removed a feature you loved. Revert. It is a level of control Apple has never allowed.
So after all of this, the corporate bullying, the rampant piracy, the catastrophic security failure, and this absolutely shocking comeback, we are left with a fundamental conflict.
Is this a revolution, or is it a security nightmare just waiting to happen again? Is that walled garden, the strict control of Apple and Google, is it there for a reason? I want to know what you think. Tell me in the comments. Do you trust the underdog, or is the safety of the walled garden worth the price of freedom?